Hello, I am Gerardo Cantu and I'm going to talk about Japan isolation. When Ieyasu Tokugawa (1526 to 1549) became shogun in 1603, Japan was trading widely with surrounding countries. Japan had also made contact with the West, trading with countries as far away as Portugal, the Netherlands, England, and Spain. By the early 17th century, however, Japan had forced all foreigners to leave and barred almost all relations with the country outside Japan. Japan's policy of Sakoku isolation lasted for 200 years, until an American Commodore Matthew Perry sailed to Japan and reopened the diplomatic relations in 1854. This chapter discusses the reasons for the policy of isolation held until this time.
Hi, I'm Marlon, and I'm going to talk about contact with the West and suspicions of foreigners in Japan isolation. Contact with the West. Japan's first recorded contact with the West was in 1542 when the Portuguese ship was blown off its course to China and landed in Japan. Since the traders from Portugal and Netherlands, England and Spain, along with the Jesuits, Dominican, and Franciscan missionaries, continued to arrive in Japan. Tension, however, remained between the shoguns and what they often saw as a hostile foreign influences, suspicious of foreigners. The former shogun Hideyoshi was afraid that the Christian belief in one God weakened his authority. For this reason, Hideyoshi and suspicions of foreigners. The former shogun Hideyoshi was afraid that the Christian belief in one God weakened his authority. For this reason, Hideyoshi and Tokugawa shoguns persecute the missionaries and Japanese Christian converts. The shoguns also suspect that the traders and missionaries were seeking help from the Japanese Christians to take over Japan as a colony, as had already happened in Mexico and the Philippines.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Guajardo and I am going to talk about isolation. The suspicions held by the shoguns led them to ban Christianity placed foreigners under tighter restrictions and in 1639 ultimately forcing the Portuguese merchants and other foreigners away from the country. While Japan allowed restricted commercial contracts with Dutch and Chinese merchants, it barred all other links and forbade Japanese citizens to leave Japan. In 1641, the policy of Sakoku was officially adopted. The policy of isolation lasted for 2 centuries, and during this time, the shoguns succeeded in keeping Japan relatively stable.
Hi, I'm Gabriel and I'm going to talk about changes to isolation. Japan's policy of isolation steadily lost influence for several reasons. It was changed by the impact of natural disasters, including earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, as well as feminism. A steady worsening of financial situation of the government led to higher taxes and riots among the rural population, and many samurais suffered death after living extravagantly. Relations between the central government and the Maya worship, while increasing population merchant class, changed the old feudal hierarchy. External pressure came into the 18th century when the Russians tried unsuccessfully to establish trade with Japan. Ships from Europe and America attempted the same in 19th century. In 1853, the Commodore Matthew Perry of the American Navy sailed into the bay at Edo with warships. Perry demanded that Japan open diplomatic relations and trade. In 1854, he returned with 7 ships and forced the shogun to sink the trade.
Hi, I am Mauricio Garza and I'm going to talk about the end of the isolation. Within 5 years of the Convention of Kanagawa, other trade treaties were signed with the Netherlands, Britain, France, and Russia, and foreigners once again established settlements in Japan. In 1858, the Harris Treaty was signed with the United States, securing it commercial and diplomatic privilege. The treaties signed were regarded by the Japanese as unequal, having been forced on Japan through the threat of military force. This caused anti-government feelings and other movements such as the demand for the restoration of imperial powers, as well as the anti-Western feelings, especially among conservative samurai. Many Japanese, however, saw the advantage of Western science and military defense, and favored Japan's opening up to the world. Trade remained limited until 1868, when a group of samurai abolished the shogunate and restored the emperor to power in the Meiji Restoration, believing that only the emperor could help Japan in its time to change.